I can see it.
Good. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. A lot of people around the room. I think that's fantastic. Welcome at long last to the RReSTORe workshop. We've got a bunch of people in the room here in Denver. Yep. And we've got a bunch of people that are viewing this remotely via Zoom as well. So I just want to take a little bit of time to go over the RReSTORe Consortium as a whole and to go over the logistics for the day, because we packed as much as we possibly could into this 8 hours of the day to get lots of discussions in. And so it may be a little bit confusing, but I want everyone to have everything crystal clear. Good. All right. So here's what I'm going to do over the next like 20 minutes or so. We're going to try to minimize the introduction so that we can have plenty of time for discussions. I want to do quick introductions and just give you a sense of who's here and who's listening remotely, and give everyone an opportunity to kind of get to know each other a little bit. I want to talk specifically about the emerging vision scientists and the travel grants that they received and the sponsors for their grants. Then we're going to talk about the long-term goals for RReSTORe, because this isn't just a one-day meeting. We're not going to be finished at the end of the day today. We really want this to be a sustainable endeavor that we continue with collaboration for months and years into the future. Then I'll go over the logistics for today and the goals for what we want to accomplish in the next several hours. So I'd like to thank the organizing committee for the RReSTORe Consortium, which are listed here. This was a, yeah, please. Yeah. This was a really large endeavor. The field that we're discussing today is incredibly vast. And I absolutely could not have put this together without all the hard work. There's been a tremendous amount of work and time and effort put in on the back end to come to the agenda and to do all the organizing. So I really appreciate their help. So who's here today? This is a pretty large group. We have almost 200 participants in the RReSTORe Consortium. 85 of those are senior investigators, all of whom have made seminal contributions to the field and established the basic principles that we'll be discussing today and will be leading this work in the immediate future. But we also have 100 emerging vision scientists, and this includes, believe it or not, undergraduates, graduate students, postdocs, fellows, research associates, and junior faculty that are within the first few years of their first faculty appointment. And you know, the EVSs have a wide range of experience in the field, but they all have fantastic ideas, and they'll all be playing a huge role in this research in the future. So I'm really glad that we have so many people participating today, because I think this is going to be critical to moving the field in the next few years. And then we also have some representatives with us today from foundations, from the National Eye Institute and industry. And so I want to acknowledge them as well. Partnership with all of these organizations is instrumental to what we're trying to accomplish, and we really appreciate that. So almost unbelievably, we've been able to award 47 travel grants for emerging vision scientists to be with us here today. That was made possible by several partners who I want to express my sincere gratitude for your support for this. The Glaucoma Foundation, the Bright Focus Foundation, the Glaucoma Research Foundation, the Gilbert Family Foundation, and the National Eye Institute have all made contributions for emerging vision scientist travel grants and for the meeting logistics so that we could be here today, be together in one place, and share conversations over coffee and lunch. So what are we trying to accomplish with this consortium? Well, we've made the defined goals as being our ability to define and prioritize the most critical challenges and questions related to retinal ganglion cell regeneration over the next 5 years. We want to come up with a consensus about what we need to be doing in the lab, what questions we need to be asking, what collaborations we need to establish in order to address those questions, in order to have the potential for retinal ganglion cell regeneration and potentially therapeutic avenues that have the ability to actually restore vision in optic neuropathies, rather than just prevent or slow disease progression as it currently stands. So the goal of the consortium really is to brainstorm the tools and the experimental approaches that will be necessary to tackle these obstacles. And we really want this to be not just a think tank, but a nidus for collaboration. We want the people in this room to get together and find the areas of mutual overlapping expertise, but also the areas where one person may have expertise in an area that's complementary to someone else. And when you can get together the work from those two labs, then the sum is greater, the work of that is greater than the sum of its parts. So I want to review a little bit about what we've done to date, because a lot of the people in the room, you've contributed a lot of time already into establishing what questions we're going to discuss and in providing critical feedback into the discussions and helping to vet the process. So phase one of the RReSTORe Consortium involves iterative consensus building to determine the agenda for today. And just to review, in late January through early February, we asked you to send us questions and challenges and ideas for things that you thought were highly pertinent to retinal ganglion cell replacement and needed to be discussed by us. And then for about a month in February, the organizing committee went through every single one of those hundreds of submissions and curated a list that was pertinent to each subtopic discussion group, of which there are 5, to try to come up with a preliminary agenda for today. We then sent that back to you in March and asked for feedback for each topic, what your overall enthusiasm was, and then what thoughts you had that drove that level of enthusiasm. We used that information to cull the list so that we would only have 5 topics to discuss for each SDG today, and to revise the list based on your suggestions to make sure that we were covering everything that you as the participants felt were most important. So we reviewed that feedback in April, and then the final agenda was sent out just a few days ago. So today is phase 2 of the RReSTORe Consortium, and this is the workshop that we're all participating in today. So you should have a copy of this agenda up here. As you can see, we're currently in the welcome and overview. Immediately following this, beginning at 8:30, we're going to split up, and there's going to be 5 subtopic discussion groups that are going to run simultaneously in different breakout rooms here, and then 2 of them will be downstairs on the 2nd floor of the hotel. So as I think everyone knows, subtopic discussion group 1 deals with retinal ganglion cell development and differentiation. Number 2 is transplantation methods and models. Number 3 is retinal ganglion cell survival, maturation, and host interactions. Number 4 is intraretinal wiring. And number 5 is eye to brain connectivity. So for each of these groups, there will be moderators, there will be scribes, and there will be a couple of people to provide introductory comments to get the discussion really flowing. And then we'll have lunch in the middle of the day. And at the end of the day, we're going to come back for a short summary session, because I don't know how everyone else felt when they were looking through the agenda, but I personally was just disappointed that I couldn't break myself into 5 pieces and go to all of them at once. So we want to give some opportunity for the moderators for each of the SDGs to come back to the podium and for about 10 minutes each, just tell everyone what were some of the highlights of the discussions and the most important things that came out of their 5 hours of talks over the course of the day. And then finally, I'll just give you a little bit of instructions and information of what to anticipate for phase 3 of RReSTORe coming up in the future. As a little bit of a taste for that right now, I'm going to tell you here that, again, this is a long-term, hopefully sustainable endeavor. So after we finish up today, there will be a few things that come out of this. One is going to be longitudinal discussions, both formally and informally. And we're going to use the website Basecamp to do this. This is a website that is hosted on a secure server. And either you have already been given a password protected individual account for this. If you haven't already, let Andrea know and we will get that to you soon. But this is a nice platform because It's secure, so you can upload and share files, and you don't need to worry about it being out in the general public. We have teams created for each subtopic discussion group. There's message boards, and some people have already been using the message boards to post opportunities for postdoctoral fellowships in their laboratories, for instance. But there's also group chats and one-on-one chats if you want to find an easy way to communicate with someone else from the consortium. So that will be part of phase 3 of this going on in the future. And we also hope to hold virtual talks and workshops. And if this gains traction and everyone's up for it, ideally we would be able to meet once every 2 or 3 years in person to catch up and have meetings like this. Okay, once again, so this is the agenda for today. Cripple Creek 1 and 2, for those in the room here, are on the 2nd floor. All of the other rooms are on this floor right here. And lunch will be hosted on this floor as well. So each SDG is going to be in a single room throughout the course of the day. So if you choose to participate in all 5 topics for a single SDG, you can pick a seat and stay there for the course of the day. But if you want to bounce around because you're most interested in topic 1 for a particular SDG, but topic 2 for a different SDG interests you, you're absolutely welcome to move around. The only constraint is that we intentionally want these to be relatively small group discussions. We want intimate, very forthcoming discussions between the participants. So we've capped the discussions at 30 participants each, and there's 30 chairs in the room. So there's less than 150 people here today in person. So there should be plenty of room for everyone, but if one topic happens to be particularly popular, then that room might fill up. So you might need a little bit of flexibility there. We've purposely built in lots of informal time for discussions. We've had an hour. It's been wonderful to see everyone mingling and chatting with each other over breakfast and coffee, and we have an hour for lunch. There's also 15 minutes scheduled in between each of the subtopic discussions. So that should provide opportunity for smaller informal discussions. And then this video is being recorded. We'll post it on the website. And our closing session, where we provide summaries of the discussions over the course of the day, will also be posted on the website. Here's an important slide for everyone. We do have dedicated Wi-Fi for this meeting, and this is how you access it. So if you're here, the Wi-Fi you'll connect to is Embassy Meeting, and the passcode is Hopkins 22. This is useful so that you can check your email, you can look up papers and things on the fly during the course of these discussions. But the easiest way, if you are trying to make a point in the course of your subtopic discussions, and you say, you know, I have a slide with data that would really be useful to the group, the easiest way to share that slide is just to connect to the Zoom and project it on the screen for everyone to see. So if you connect to the Wi-Fi, you'll be able to do that. I wanted to make a note about the Zoom links. So each Zoom link is dedicated to one of the subtopic discussion groups in one of the rooms here in the hotel. And so they will keep that single Zoom link throughout the course of the day. And you know, there's a separate Zoom link for each SDG. Okay, so if you are going to stick with a single SDG throughout the course of the day, you'll stay on one Zoom link. If you're going to bounce around between groups, then you'll just need to change Zoom links. Okay, just a couple of closing thoughts here. I think a fundamental premise of our organizing the RReSTORe Consortium is that vision restoration in ophthalmology, as NEI has dubbed this, is an audacious goal. And this is going to require sustained, committed, collaborative effort by diverse investigators from many fields working together. So I think it's critical that we bring each other together and share ideas and work together to accomplish this. So a couple of points that I want to drive home that are fundamental to achieving that for RReSTORe are the following. First, we want to foster truly genuine, open, collaborative discussions. So to that end, we have purposely decided not to audio or video record any of the discussions that are going to be held over the course of the day, because we don't want anyone to have any concerns about sharing data that may not be published yet or anything like that. We will have scribes that will be taking notes, and that will be used for potential white papers in the future. But if you want to share something because it's pertinent to the discussion, but you don't want us to take notes on it or put it in any potential publications in the future, please feel free to just state that, and the scribes will not record that information, and it will be shared and contained within the group, and confidentiality will be maintained. For the scribes, if you have been selected to be a scribe for the SDGs, we'd ask you to please meet the moderators immediately following this session in front of the rooms in which those discussions will be held. The moderators just want to go over logistics for how to most effectively scribe for that meeting. And then lastly, I want to make the point once again that the EVSs are a critical part of this consortium. So one of the utmost important principles for RReSTORE is inclusivity, diversity, and equity. We want all of the EVSs to feel very comfortable to share their ideas. We want you all to be active, not passive participants in the consortium. And so please definitely network, mingle, participate actively over the course of the day. Share your contact information with the senior investigators, get to know everyone in the field. And if you're giving a talk or a poster at ARVO, let everyone know about that, because I'm sure we'd all love to come see your work in person at ARVO. So the goals for today are to engage in deep, detailed discussions about the most important topics relevant to vision restoration and optic neuropathy, and to establish collaborations. I want to make it clear that the agenda that we have for each subtopic discussion group is aggressive. There's a ton of questions, and probably a lot of those questions could take a half an hour or an hour in and of themselves. So let this be a guidepost for how the discussions go today. But the goal is not necessarily to address every single question in any kind of a comprehensive manner. These are just some of the most important topics that we want to pose to get the discussion flowing. And if any of the groups happen to have a really fantastic discussion about only one small part of what's on the agenda, I think that's fine and fantastic. All right, we're almost at the end here. If anyone has any questions, we'll have a couple of minutes here for questions. If you need anything over the course of the day, please feel free to come find me or any of the organizing committee members. Andrea Everett is also up front. You met her when you got your badge this morning. And if there's any logistical issues, you can ask her as well. Does anybody have any questions about anything logistically or how things are going to run today? No? Anybody on the Zoom? Yep, Don. Thank you. Thanks, Don. I mean, the reality is everyone's putting in a ton of work, and I'm just very happy to do it. I think seeing everyone in the room here and hearing how enthusiastic people are about this consortium, this is what it's all about. So I appreciate that. And with that, we'll get started. Yep. Oh, thank you. All right, so let's see what we got. If anyone has a question on the Zoom, you can just unmute yourself.
I just had a quick comment, Tom. It's Shane Lidlow here. It's very hard to hear the other speakers in the room when they ask their questions. So if there's any opportunity, maybe in the smaller rooms, that there'll be microphones for them.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. Yes, so the small rooms, just so you guys know how this will run, there will be U-shaped desks, and the desks have a series of pod microphones connected to each other. The AV guys assure me that everyone in the room will be heard crystal clear. There's also a video camera of the room, so everyone looking at Zoom will be able to see the smiling faces of all the participants. And then we'll have a screen for projecting of slides for the opening commentators. Any other questions? Great. All right. Well, I'm going to end this Zoom stream, and then we will reopen with 5 simultaneous Zooms in 15 minutes.